Ho, 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 good morning. Let me put on some gloves. These gloves are a little overkill. They're definitely long gloves. I think I bought the wrong box, but it's okay. I certainly won't get anything on my elbows with these gloves. Hey, so I want to make it's coming up on Halloween, and I don't know, I wanted to make a tombstone, a few different kinds of tombstones for a graveyard scene I want to do. I didn't know, I'm sure there's a lot of videos on the tombstones already, but not for me, so I'm going to make one. One cool trick I'll show you at the end of this tombstone, how to make it really strong and durable. I'll show you at the end. This is just made out of pink XPS foam, like this stuff right here. And it's really simple to make. And we're going to make one. So, what basically, I've got a scrap bin of old pieces of foam. And I just pulled out some pieces I thought were going to be most appropriate for this. All we really need is a base and a stone on the top, like a sort of almost an oval shape. So with that in mind, I'm going to plug in. Now you don't have to have a hot wire cutter, but I use the hot wire cutter because it's pretty easy for me to get some pretty quick straight lines. And I'm just going to eyeball this. This cutter is just like a table saw for foam, except there's no blade. It's a hot wire, and it's really cool. So what I want to do is, and I may have some pieces left over. Yeah, here I got a couple cool pieces here left over. I'm going to make a base, and I'm just eyeballing this. For the action figures that I use, I use some 7-inch and some Mezco. They're a little smaller. So, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. No need to get out the micrometer and, go to town with the micrometer. I think we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to just kind of take a little off the thickness of it because it's pretty thick. So, we're just going to take a little bit off of the bottom. And these are just scrap pieces that I keep in my bin, because you can always come back and use something, a piece of foam that you need in that bin. You might just need a little remnant piece of foam to make something, just like this here, and we'll have one. So basically, here's a base right here, and I need to think about the top part of the tombstone. And you can make like crosses, you can make squares, or you can make different shapes. I did a round one in this one. We can do a square one in this next one. That wouldn't be bad. We can do a square one, sort of not square, but sort of rectangular. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to think about how high this square is going to be, and I think about right there is probably good. Like I say, I'm just eyeballing this. We're not getting specific measurements. Now you can, if you want to get specific measurements and scale it to your action figure, but I'm not going that heavy with it. So this is going to be the height of our tombstone, and let's think about a width of it. I think probably something right in there. Something right in there looks pretty decent. So we'll go ahead and cut that. And I have created myself more scraps to keep in the bin that grows all the time. And I think this is a little thick for a tombstone. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit off of the thickness of it, and I just, like I say, I think it's just a little thick. So we're just going to shave a little bit off. There you go, like cutting cheese, except not as tasty. Okay. I think we're good for a thickness of tombstone there. Let's make sure we can fit it on there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, we got some basic shapes in here. let's move this hot wire cutter out of the way. And this is really cool, man. Anyway, let's move this hot wire cutter out of my way and clear some space on my always messy table here. I'm just going to take this completely off because we're not going to use it again during this project. So we'll just take it, move it to the side. See if anybody here's. Let me bring my YouTube up here on and see what we got going on for anybody joining in here. Okay. So we've got our basic shape down here for the tombstone. What I want to do now is I'm just going to take a ball of aluminum foil. Depending on where you are, it may be called aluminium. I don't know. Aluminum foil. So we're going to go ahead and let me get on my phone here and get on YouTube so that I can check out and see what's going on and make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments here. And all right, let's see. I haven't figured out how to do this yet. I got a new phone, and there we go. Okay. At any rate, so we're going to take the ball of aluminum foil, and we're just going to kind of go ahead and mash around it. This is going to be a stone-looking tombstone. You can. I've seen wooden ones. I've seen, you know, 2 pieces of sticks. But in this one, it's going to be a stone textured tombstone here. Making sure to knock down the hard edges from the cuts that we did on the foil, on the hot wire cutter. You definitely want to get those edges knocked down. And I don't think you can do this too much. Depending on how decrepit and old you want it to look, just bang it up more. Bang it and twist it and roll it and, you know, knock it all down and get the aging in there that you want. Hit those corners really nicely. There we go. And these photograph really nicely. So if you do all the sides of it, you can photograph this from any angle. So we do all the sides. There we go. Push that up on there. There we go. Figured I was up, got up early this morning. Well, I usually do. But, been wanting to try out this live while I build something simple. And, I think it'd be a fun way to interact with the people and a fun way to start the morning. So, we've got a textured block of foam here, and we'll do the back side too. You never know if Jason's going to be looking from behind, and actually, you know, if you wanted to, you could make this a double-sided tombstone with text on one side and different text on the other side. Is another thought, so that you could have kind of like 2 in 1, you know, depending on what your needs are. You can make it say different things, but doing both sides just gives you that extra amount of flexibility. There we go. Once your hand hurts, you're just about close to being done. No. So, and it might be tough to see in the light here, but we kind of banged it all up. We took a hard, rigid piece of foam and just textured it up with a ball of aluminum foil. Okay, and do the same thing to the base. Just bang it up, flatten it down. It doesn't have to be even. You can bang, you know, different sides higher, knock them down to a taper, whatever you want. Just go to town on this rascal. Just make sure to get all the sides. There we go. After a while, the foam gets more and more compacted the more you use it. Let's put this rascal back right there. There we go. And this is a pretty quick build. The longest part of this is the paint to dry, but I use a heat gun on that too because I'm impatient. You will dry now. You know, I don't really want to sit around and wait for things. So another way you could do this is, if you've seen any of my brick videos, you can put this in a jar with some rocks and tumble them around in there. But with the bigger pieces, you run the risk of them breaking. But it really does a nice job of knocking down the hard edges and texturing up the foam really nicely. But on bigger pieces like this, and especially bigger thinner pieces, you do run the risk of breaking those. Hey, what's up, buddy? Oh, right on, man. Well, heck, we're making a tombstone, man. Let me get on my YouTube, and I want to be able to see on my phone the comments so that I don't have to look at my computer, but I'm not quite sure how to how to do it because I just got a new dang phone. Let's see. But yeah, no, this is right on then, man. This is, if you need a tombstone, then this is definitely going to be a video for you. I'm just trying to find. Oh, well, I can't figure out how to do it. I just have to look on the computer and see the comments. But at any rate, so we've got two pieces of foam. We've banged them up with the, you know, first we've cut them down. Then we bang them up with the aluminum foil ball here. Nothing real scientific yet. You know, we're going to make a tombstone like this. Actually, let me bang these corners in just a little bit more. I don't like them so hard and defined. You might like a more sharp edge corner. I don't. It'll bug me. It will bother me. So basically here you can see this, you know, two pieces of foam are already starting to take shape into the tombstone. So what I do now is I'm just going to go ahead and, you could paint this after, but I don't want to do that. I paint the pieces individually. So I'm just going to get some paper towels ready for that. The next thing that I want to do really quickly is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to go ahead and start, and with a sharp blade, I want to make these little cracks and crevices, and I do that by dragging a blade through the foam. And you can do this, you just do this wherever you want. You know, you just start at one end or one corner, or you don't even have to do this. You can just roll with the texture that's made by the aluminum foil. It's all up to you. This is your deal. You know, whatever looks nice to you. Now the thing here is use just a very tip and very light pressure to do this, and we'll go back through this in reverse direction just to clean that little groove out too. You know, and kind of drag it to a point and then come back the other way just to clean it out a little bit. And you can go as deep as you want. Just make sure it goes to a nice point. There we go, something like that. A little wider at the bottom. There you go. There we are. Then you can come back in from the bottom here, however you want. It's your show. But these cracks and really add that extra layer of age to it. The tinfoil does the texturing, and these cracks and stuff do that age and distress to it. You know, we can make this a little wider down here. It's cracking up from the bottom. These things only last so long. And everything fades in time. So there we go. Got a couple cracks there. Hey, static. Static is making it cling to my gloves. There we go. Get a nice point on that in there. There we go. Clean it out a little bit. There we go. Okay. A couple cracks in there. Let's do one more. Everything's better in threes. Something about groups of three makes everything look nice. So we've got one there, and heck, let's just put one in right over here. Just a little short one. When I used to do food photography, I learned that things look better in threes, and it's just a lesson that's stuck with me. And when I build stuff or when I photograph stuff, I try to do, if I'm doing something, I try to get it in a group of three if I can. It just looks better. We'll have this rascal drag off over here to the side a little bit. We don't want to go too much to the middle because we're going to maybe put RIP or something on here. Drag this back a little bit this way. There we go. There we go. Looks good to me. A couple cracks in there. Let's do a little split right here to the side. There we go. That'll work. Okay. And you can do the same thing on the side here, or the base of the. Let me clean some of these little balls out here. You don't really want to. What's going to happen is if you leave these balls in there, these little pieces of foam, the watery black paint that we're going to put in here won't go all the way down in there. So you want to make sure that you kind of clean this out nicely with the tip of the blade. There we go. Dig it out. There you go. Looking good. Okay, and you can do the same here if you want. I'm not going to do the same on the base because I like my base to stay pretty intact. So we'll put my blade away. Oh, I'll show you, man. I'm going to do that here in a minute. I've got like a wood burning kit that with different tips. I'll show you. So you kind of, you know, writing is kind of tricky. There's a couple ways you can, depending on how big your tombstone is, you can go in with a printed piece of paper as a stencil and then tape it down and use a stick and poke out, you know, each letter. Or what we're going to do here, I'm just going to do RIP again, and let me bring this tool over. If you notice on this one, I have like some little flower designs on here and stuff like that. This wood burning kit that I'm going to show you, it's made for wood burning, but it's adjustable in its temperature, and so you can turn the temperature down really nicely, and it comes with some different tips in here. The tip that I used for the flowers was this one here, and that gave me sort of a flower design in there. And for the writing, I've got a soldering tip, a fine tip on there that I just poke. I'll show you. I don't know if I want to do any flowery ones on this one, since I just did flowery ones. We can do, I don't know, we can try one of these. I don't know. It's just a matter of, what is this one? That's the flower one. This is a little square one. We can, yeah, let's just do some writing with this tip here. Let me plug this rascal in. Oh, and here's one of those pumpkins from yesterday, man. If you can see that very well or not on this little webcam here. But I got 3 of these rascals going. Yeah. Anyway, so let's plug this. Probably ought to not plug the wood burning tip in on the paper towel. That would definitely make a good YouTube live video, I imagine. Not quite the way I want to go with it. So what you want to do, and you want to make sure that all the writing and all the texturing and all the things that you want to add to this are done before you paint it. Because we're going to add a liquid black wash into here, and it's going to go down in all those crevices, and it's going to allow you to get all the that age and that gritty kind of looking deep, crevices full of dark paint when you go to dry brush it. Because if you see here, I dry brush white over it so that it brings out some definition to the lines, and it makes the letters stand out a little bit better. Lettering, and like I say, you can print something out. I don't know if I have anything here, but you just, on a piece of printer paper, you can use whatever program you want, print out your text in the size of your tombstone, and then cut it down, tape it on, and then just poke through the paper onto the into the foam, and it's going to create that texture of each letter in there. That's another way to do it. Here I'm just going to kind of freehand RIP on there because it's just the easiest thing to do. But once this, well, you got to turn it on before it heats up. I'm going to grab a couple bits of paint and for this, bring over for when we get ready to do that part. And these are just inexpensive Walmart paints. And then I've got a bottle that I make here of black mixed with water, and that just helps me pour it inside there. So what I'll do is, let me grab a Sharpie and kind of give myself an idea where I want to go with this. You could do it with Sharpie, or you can just freehand it. And we'll just R-I-P. Just like that. Drag it through the letters. It just makes it a little more believable. Now let's touch the hot tip of the soldering iron with the rubber glove on, because that always works good. Just make a test piece. You don't want, the trick is you don't want this really hot. You just want it warm. And I think we're almost getting there. Yeah, you don't want it to really melt the foam and leave huge indentations. But what's going to happen is these letters are actually really hard now, because the foam kind of melts and then it hardens back, and it creates this crusty kind of letter, and it's kind of cool. So when you have one of these with the ability to adjust the temperature, it makes it pretty nice. We're just waiting for this rascal to get going. And then I've got a few paints here. Like I said, I'll go over this in a black, and then I'll dry brush some white or some gray, and then I'll finish it with a little bit of white. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I got to figure out how to get on this phone. I got a new phone yesterday, and how I can view my live video on my channel so that I can see comments. I don't know how to do it yet. Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go. So let me turn the volume down so I don't get a bunch of echo. And we'll see what, I don't want to be on Wi-Fi. Okay, there we go. Now I can probably see the comments over here. Nice. Oh, there we go. Yay! Man, tech, I tell you, now I smell this thing getting warm. There we go. Okay, so with the cord out of the way, we're just going to go through here and lightly go into the outline we made with the Sharpie. Okay, just the very tip, because this will eat away your foam and you'll be left with a big gaping hole instead of letters. Don't want that. I mean, unless that's the look you're after, but there we go. Okay. All right, we're good with that. RIP. Took longer to heat the gun up than to do the actual. Now what I'll do is, since I've still got some Sharpie on there, I can go through and just kind of lightly take some of it back away. See, so we don't see the Sharpie on there. Just really lightly. There we go. And that takes the Sharpie back off of there. And if you think like you've lost some texture, you can always go back over it with the aluminum foil ball. Let me move this out of the way so that it can cool off. And I don't know why my phone. Let me set this over here so I can see comments. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I know, huh? Yeah, you're right. Post a link on my Instagram or something. You're right. No doubt. No doubt about that. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and get ready to do... I'm going to grab a couple pins because I need something to hold the foam with. And my fat, jumbly fingers aren't a good tool for holding the foam. So I'll just grab a few of these pins and shove the container back in my drawer. And this just gives me something to hold these with, because like I say, it's to do them with my hand is a bit of a okay. Grab a little paintbrush that I've got right here. And this first one that I'm going to do, I'll squirt a little bit of black out on here. Just a little bit. Even just that much, man, like a pea size. And what I'll do is, this is just the same black paint, but in a bottle that I mixed with water. And we're going to go ahead and squeeze this on here into these letters. Squeeze it all in there, get it all down in those cracks that we made with the razor. Oh, I'm getting low on water. There we go. Sometimes the marble gets stuck down in there and it blocks the flow of the watery paint. Okay. Just get some of this out on here. Give it another little shake. There we go. Whoops, squirting off to the side. There we go. So, and what I'll do now is I'll just smear this around in here. Make sure that it's all nice and covered. That's why I wear gloves. I just hate getting stuff all over my hands. Okay. Brush this all on here really nicely. Just smear it around. And this is going to lighten up a little bit. You know, this is a black wash, but it's not a really... It's not as thick as straight black, so it will lighten up a little bit. But you can kind of see already how the main purpose of the black wash is really just to get down in the cracks and crevices where the paint won't actually flow as easily because the 100% paint is thicker. So we'll just, then we can take a little bit of black and just lightly go over the top quickly, not down into the crevices, but just back over the top a little bit. And then I'll hit the sides with it, just like this. Just, I don't want to see any of that purple or that pink foam shining through the black paint. So we'll go ahead and get this nice, and some tombstones would be good for your little Halloween sets, man. No doubt. You can always use tombstones. Put Frankie on one. You can't put Frankie on one because he's alive. So there we go. Okay, this one, we'll just set that to the side for the time being, and we'll spread this black wash around over here on the base. Okay. These don't take long to make. They're really a pretty quick little prop to add, to be able to make, and you can knock a few of these out at the same time, have all your stuff set up and knock 3 or 4 of them out in one sitting, you know. And I'm going to plug my heat gun in here in a minute and make it even faster because I don't like waiting. Unfortunately, I have a little heat gun. Alright, so once all that's covered up in your black paint, then you can, let's see, welcome to live room to guard your privacy, blah blah blah. Yeah, once you have it covered in black paint, let me set this in some water real quick. Then I'm going to plug my heat gun in here real quick and let this get this rascal dried in no time, and then we can dry brush it and glue it, and we'll be just done here in a matter of minutes. Let me plug this heat gun in. It'll be loud for a moment. This is the other reason I use the little beads to hold it. And then don't get too close, because you'll definitely, if you're using a heat gun, you'll definitely melt the foam. So keep the heat gun moving. You can see the paint just drying right away. It's all the water coming off of it. This is just a step. You don't have to do this. I do this, like I said, because I don't want to wait. So once we got a good dry piece of foam, it's going to all pop here in a minute. And we'll go ahead and take this other piece. And this would be something that I wouldn't even think of airbrushing, because by the time you set up the airbrush, paint this, and clean the airbrush, it's not even worth it. So once this is nice and dry also, we'll take that, let the heat gun cool down, and we've got 2 dry pieces of foam here. We got a top and a bottom. I'm going to dry brush this. I'm going to grab a different paintbrush here really quickly, and we'll dry brush these. We'll dry brush these rascals. And I have another brush. Where'd that son son of a gun goes? There it is. It's hiding on me. We use this one. These are just brushes that I get from. They're only like $1 at Home Depot or something like that. I think they have them at Walmart too. I don't often like to go to Walmart because Walmart's a headache. But you just want a nice little stiff brush. We'll do. And these work great if you cut the ends off even more. They get really nice and stiff, so they're pretty nice. We'll do this one. Okay, so we'll do these two brushes. And let me throw a little bit of paper towel out here. Because when you dry brush it, definitely, we're going to go through first with a gray. And like I say, these are just Walmart paints. Folk art, and then apple barrels or whatever they sell there. So now dry brushing does waste a little bit of paint, but it's okay. Right on, thanks, man. So what we're gonna do with the gray is we're just gonna load our brush up with it so that all the bristles have some gray on them. Not like all the way up here, but just the very tips. And then we're going to take and just roll it around on the paper towel real quick just to get all the extra off. And then I'll take the piece here. This you have to hold because if you did it with this in there, it's going to break. So we'll take the pin back out. And then the trick here is just to go over the piece at a real light angle. And you're not trying to paint down in the crevices. You're just trying to drag it across the top so that the textures that were made by the foil pick up the gray. Okay, so we're just going to drag this across a little bit. And it'll take a few times of building this up, so be patient. It'll take a few minutes before you really start to notice the effect that it's having on the stone. Takes a little bit of building up, especially when you're starting with a very black bottom. Takes a minute to build up. Got to kind of look at it in the light. Let me turn this light on over here. I hope that doesn't create a hot spot on the workbench though. Let's see what it does. There's a little bit of a lag. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. So once again, we'll get our brush loaded up with a little gray, kind of swirl it around and knock the excess off. There we go. We'll just drag it across. And it takes a few times, like I say, before it really starts showing up. Take a look at it over here in the light. And go ahead and hit it around all the sides. Get you a little bit more paint on there. There we go. You want to leave a lot of that black. I mean, it's your preference, but you want quite a bit of that black to show through in all the textures and the cracks and crevices, because that's where you're going to get your age look from. You don't want to get rid of the black. You just want to lightly drag across it. We're starting to build up already. It might be tough to see. I'll give you a close-up view here in a minute once it really starts coming alive. Little Frankenstein pun for you. Let me pick this up. Old jumble hands. There we go. There we go. It's starting to come now. Now, the other thing, when you dry brush the white on here, it's gonna, I'll show you, it's really gonna like, wow, there it all is. That white is what's really gonna bring these letters and stuff out. Show you here in just a few minutes. We'll change up to a little bit of white. Let me get all the sides of this. See how dry brushing does use, it wastes a lot of paint, but it's really the only way to do this. Okay. All right. Do a little bit on the base. Might need a little bit more paint, and I do, just a little bit more. That should be good. Okay, there we go. There's a little purple showing through there. Let me take this pin out. This will hide that purple, not purple, but the pink. And when this is done, I'll bring it up close with some bright light so you can see. It might be tough to see on the camera in the meantime, you know, as I'm doing it, but I'll make sure to. You can definitely see the paint on my gloves, so you know what's going on here. It's just really a really light process that takes a minute to build up. Okay. All right. Now let me flip my paper towel over. Set this off to the side. Grab a little bit of this white paint. About like that much right there. That's a specific measurement term. Let's now this white paint, it's, you really want to brush it off good, and sometimes I don't because I mess up, but you really want to get it in there and then drag a lot of it off, because it's really going to show up extremely bright on here. So I'll start on the back. Let me brush it a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Sometimes I don't do it right, and I get a big blob there, and then I got to frantically try to blend it in. But you can really see how that white is starting to really come out on those highlights and ridges. And it doesn't have to be white everywhere. I like to get some on the very edges, like that right there. And then I like to drop it in the paint, because why not? Let's drag that back out. Always got to make a custom spot somewhere, right? Let me get a dry brush. There's always got to be an error in there somewhere. There we go. Good as new. That's the struggle, man. But and we'll drag this across here. Mostly, I don't want to drag it across the whole front. What I want to do is I want to just bring those letters out. So we'll just lightly go across the letters, and you'll see the letters start to come out. See that? In both directions. And it takes a minute to build up, but you can see, maybe you can see if I get my hands out of the light. Let me see, let the camera catch up to where I'm at. There's a little bit, there we go. You can see the white start to come out on the lettering. And you really want to take this and do it on the edges of the big cracks. Let me just make sure I drug off enough. There we go. See that on the edges of the cracks? Really want to bring those cracks out. There we go. Just like that. And then you can see where the edges bring, you know, the white hits the edges of those crevices and those letters and makes them stand out pretty nicely. And you could drag a little bit up along the edge if you want, just up to you. Just a little bit on the corners. And then we'll do the same to the base of it. Can't believe I dropped the whole thing in the paint. Well, I can't believe it because that's what happens, man. So, you know, we'll just get a little bit, just a little light passes. I'm gonna drop it in the paint again. Let me learn from my mistake. There we go. And the highlights are nice. It just adds something, you know, in the photograph. It makes these little white spots, makes it really stand out. Okay. So, let me drop this in some water. So, one of the things that I did here is I used hot glue on this one, and what made this, I'm going to glue this here in a second, but what makes this really strong isn't just the hot glue, but it's that I take a toothpick or a wooden dowel and I put in the base up into the tombstone part, and that adds a whole lot of strength to this tombstone. I'll show you real quick. I'm gonna get a wooden stick ready here and see, make a little tiny dowel to go, you know, into the tombstone. We'll just cut a length of it off. I don't know, something like this. There we go. Something like that's good. And then I kind of want to get a little sharp end on it, so I'll just knock it down a little bit with the X-Acto blade. That way I got something to poke in there. And this just gives it more strength so that it doesn't break. Alright, let me take these off now because they will get in my way. Let me plug the hot glue gun in. Hot glue! There we go. Plug this rascal in so that while I'm yapping, it will be heating up. Okay. And so the center of this, let's get some of this out of the way. We're going to put this right about in the center, so what's the flattest part? Yeah, that's cool, like that. So go ahead and just wiggle. And it's okay that it comes out the bottom because that's what we want. See, it'll come out the bottom. That's fine. And then bring it back through so it's pretty flush. And then you can pull that little piece off if you want. We'll maybe run an emery board across it anyway. But then the next one is make sure I do it on the bottom and not the top. I've been known to do it. So this is why the point comes in handy, because and then you just twist and push and make sure you're going in the middle. You don't want this to bust out the sides of the tombstone. There we go. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So we got a little excess hanging out the bottom. We can file that down. But let me go ahead and glue this. Once this is hot enough, let's see. And it's getting there. It's a getting there. And you can see we made this crack right here, and there's a little bit of toothpick showing because it's real thin right there. I'll just put a little black paint over that. You won't even notice it. We'll twist this in and take it in a little bit more. There we go. And then I'll put a little dab of black paint over that. I'll do that while the paint gun's heating up. There we go. A little black paint. Good as new. Or you could just Photoshop it out in the photo. Or you couldn't tell anybody and nobody would probably ever even know it was there. So, this should be heating up. There we go. So what I want to do is, okay, this is the top. All right. Now I don't want the glue gun all the way hot because this is a really hot one and it'll melt my phone. So we're just gonna put it like that. Put this down in the hole. Hold these two pieces together just until the glue dries. Shouldn't take very long because I didn't use it very much and it was already kind of tacky because I don't let it heat all the way up, because if you have a smaller glue gun it's okay, but this one here, you know, it gets hot and it will melt the foam. So that's going to be dry on there, and you don't want so much glue that all those strings that it blobs out the sides or anything. We're good here. And if you did get some and it blobbed out the side, and you can use, actually, you don't even have to use hot glue. I mean, I do because it's faster. You can use the tacky glue if you want also. It just takes longer to dry. And, you know me, I'm not trying to wait around. So, I use the hot glue, but if you do happen to use the hot glue and you find that you've got some on the side, just paint over it with some black paint. But and then this right here, what I'll do, there's a little teeny tiny bit poking out, so where it doesn't sit quite flat. You see, it's got a little movement in there. Then just go ahead and knock it down with the emery board. And as you knock it down with the emery board, don't take the paint off the the rest of the piece. Just knock it down a little bit. A little bit more. And that toothpick, man, it's an extra step, but it's really gonna give long life to these tombstones. There we go. Couple tombstones, man. Let's get Jason out. Let me see. Let's get Jason out here just to take a look. Let me unplug my glue gun too before I forget. That would be bad. Put this away. Get this out of the way, and let's throw a little Jason next to these for a little idea of a little mental stimulate the imagination. And I haven't taken this guy out of the box yet, so I guess now's as good a time as any. Boy, Nick, you sure put these rascals in here, I'll tell you that. Well, I wasn't so lazy, I'd do it the right way and just cut it from the back. But that'd be way too easy. That would be entirely too easy. Good Lord. Jason's a fighter. He's a fighter. There we go. I just don't want all the knives and everything popping out all over the place. All right. So, now that I've made a mess of that, we can, you know, little tombstone there, you know, different sizes. If you find that your tombstone is too short or something, just put more dirt under it, raise it up, you know. but at any rate, so here's a couple tombstones. Let's see, what's the fire piece? Oh, that fire piece is actually from a different Jason figure. I just was too lazy to put it back in the correct box. This is from Jason vs. Freddy. You put this on the knife, and it makes like a fiery knife. But it doesn't go with this Jason. It goes with the Freddy vs. Jason. And so, yeah, right on. I appreciate it. Bird dropping. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, yeah, that foam, man, is definitely, man. And you know, I've got a whole pile of scrap pieces that I use for various things like this. And it works nicely. You know, I seldom, the only time I really throw any foam away is if it's like, you know, some oddball random little triangle or something ridiculous. But other than that, I keep the foam because you're always going to find that you need some kind of little remnant piece to make something out of, you know. At least I do. And like this one here I'll throw out because it's all pocked up. And at some point you got to throw something out, dang it. You know. But let me show you my scrap foam piece, man. This is my scrap foam box, so that you can have an idea of my my what I'm talking about. Here's my, I don't even know. I bought these containers used, so somebody named Tony had it before. Anyway, there's my scrap box, man. These go back inside. There we go. And yeah, but these, you know, these are cool little props to have, you know. And you can do different shapes, and this little soldering kit makes it nice. Well, it's not a soldering kit, it's a wood burning kit. If you want, I can link that in the description below and show you the one that it is on Amazon. Or if you have a soldering gun, you can probably just use it. Just don't let it get really, you know, that hot. Take the tip out and replace it with like a small nail or something. That works too. I've done that. But that's really that, man. Now I gotta go and finish building my back deck. I've been up since 3 this morning. I usually get up at 3, but the problem is I didn't really want to this morning, and I got a new phone, and I had my daughter set the alarm for me. And instead of setting it for the days that I get up and go to work, she set it for 7 days, which I told her not to. And so anyway, the alarm got me up. So I said, well, let me come out and go live and do a little tombstone build. Since I'm going to build some tombstones today anyway, I said, let me just do it live and see how that works out. So, you know. Hey, right on, buddy. Take care. I look forward to seeing your Frankenstein images up on, you're going to put them on Instagram, right? I'll be looking on there for them. I might do some shooting today with my Jason and get something going with that. But at any rate, man, take care. And I look forward to seeing your images, and thanks for for stopping in, man, and keeping me company so I can yap at somebody. And I'm gonna go turn this live off, and that's a wrap.